Thank you.
Oh, okay, good. Good morning, everyone. This time I'd like to reconvene our December the 15th commission meeting. Is there any unfinished business transaction out of that meeting, Commissioners? Hearing none, that meeting is now adjourned. I'd like to call to order the January the 12th, 2023 commission meeting. Ms. DiLiberto, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Ammons.
Here.
Commissioner Knott.
Here.
Commissioner Scales.
Good morning.
Commissioner Tyson. Good morning. Commissioner Stevens.
Good morning. We're all here, 100%. Thank you very much. Happy New Year, everyone. Like to begin this meeting with an invocation. It's going to be handled by Chris Willis in my office. And Barnett Wright, would you lead us in the pledge?
Dear Lord, we come to you today and thank you for this day and thank you for everyone gathered here. We ask that you be with everyone here today as they do your will. To be with everyone through this weather and just through with no major issues. Be with us as we go from here and do your will throughout the day. We ask these things in your name.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, before you have the minutes from the December the 15th meeting. Are there any additions, corrections, or revisions, or should we just let Ms. DiLiberto read them aloud?
Yeah, we can read them, but I move that we dispense of the reading and adopt them as written.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. We have two presentations from Commission District 1. Commissioner Scales has a resolution honoring Judge Agnes Chappelle, and if she stays at the podium up there, she has a resolution honoring Sherry Jackson.
Joe, this is under your committee. I'm down.
Well, since it's Agnes, I'll go.
Well, yeah. Whatever makes you happy. Come on. Good morning, Commissioners. We're here today to celebrate one of our own. She is retiring, which is Judge Agnes Chappelle. She had a wonderful event, and we wanted to bring her more particularly before this body because this is where she has done a great job in the 10th Judicial Circuit Court. Am I correct? All right. So we want to make sure that she is provided a good, hearty thank you from us. We know we've had some different things to go on with our offices here, and so Commissioner Knight, you can speak to her as well when I finish this resolution because this is under his committee. It says, a Proverbs woman knows her worth. She leads with the abiding principles of mercy, grace, and righteous judgment. For who can find a virtuous woman? Her price is far above rubies. Proverbs 31:10, the King James Version. Whereas the Jefferson County Commission pauses in its deliberation to honor the legacy and public service of the Honorable Judge Agnes Chappelle upon her official retirement after 45 years of practicing law in Jefferson County, Alabama. And whereas Agnes Chappelle was born to the late Reverend Tommy and Loretha Matt Chappelle in Birmingham, Alabama. She matriculated at Shays Valley High School. She furthered her educational acumen by earning a degree in social work from the University of Alabama and a prestigious law degree from the University of Alabama School of Law. And whereas the Honorable Judge Agnes Chappelle has 2 children, of course, they're standing behind us, Pastor Thomas Beavers, wave your hand, Pastor, and Brooke Shetley. Is she here? Okay, there we go. All righty. And And let me get back up here. She is a faithful member of New Rising Star Missionary Baptist Church, where her father served as the pastor emeritus, and her son, Thomas Beavers, now presides as the pastor. And whereas the Honorable Judge Agnes Chappelle is the first African-American woman to practice law in Jefferson County, Alabama. She passed the bar in 1977 and currently serves as the circuit judge for the Domestic Relations Division, 10th Judicial Circuit Court. And whereas the Honorable Judge Agnes Chappelle served as a municipal judge for the city of Birmingham, Alabama, for 14 years, she presided over the Misdemeanor and Domestic Violence Court, which she was the first therapeutic court for the city of Birmingham. And whereas the Honorable Judge Agnes Chappelle has a broad experience in family and juvenile delinquency law, having served as a senior trial referee with the Jefferson County Family Court for over 15 years, and as a partner in the law firm of Brown, Chappelle, and Burrell. And whereas the Honorable Judge Agnes Chappelle served as chairman of the Minor Sex Trafficking and Grants and Allocations Committee for the Women's Fund of Greater Birmingham, Voices Against Domestic Violence Steering Committee, president and founder of the NRS Community Support Corporation, member of the board of directors for the Rising Stars, and Bethel Learning Centers, community policing and revitalization for the city of Birmingham, Momentum Leadership alumni, and the current chair of the Magic City Bar Judicial Council, and a member of the Alabama Domestic Violence Statutory Revision Committee. And whereas that's when you live a life that's productive. The Honorable Judge Agnes Chappelle received the Equal Justice Award in 2009 from Metro Birmingham NAACP chapter. She was honored by the Magic City Bar Association in 2011 for her work with domestic violence. In 2013, she was named Woman of Distinction by the North Central Girl Scouts of Alabama. She was also bestowed Motivating Woman of Distinction by the Birmingham International Center and Judicial Humanitarian of Service honoree by the city of Birmingham. And whereas the Honorable Judge Agnes Chappelle consistently utilizes her experience as a skilled counselor and judge to advance professional character, integrity, dedication, and purpose for the greater community. And whereas it is with great respect, admiration, and honor that Commissioner LaShonda Scales and the entire Jefferson County Commission salute the Honorable Judge Agnes Chappelle on her notable contributions to the citizens of Jefferson County, Alabama. We have been truly blessed by her committed service. We pray you continue to be a beacon of light and a pillar of excellence that define your distinguished career. And now, therefore, upon the recommendation of Commissioner LaShonda Scales, be it resolved by the Jefferson County Commission of the State of Alabama that a copy of this resolution be presented to the Honorable Judge Agnes Chappelle in honor of her legacy and public service as she retires from a purposeful career. And that is, of course, we're presenting it today, January 12th, 2023. Come on, Judge. Excuse me. Look.
Well, Commissioner Scales has laid it out perfectly about this young lady's accomplishments, what she's done, what she's meant to the bar, and what she's meant to the courts. And, you know, I'm proud to say that she and I have practiced law over the last couple of years. And, you know, she in her role as judge, I in my role as commissioner, we continue to be friends and can call upon one another at any time for help in anything that arises. So I'm just very proud of her. She's had a distinguished career. We'll miss her on the bench. And she's always one of those who came in and fixed things. And, you know, when things get sideways or things get in a jam or something like that, they always seem to call on Agnes. She always responded. Family court, city court, domestic relations court. And so she's an honorable woman, and I'm proud to call her my friend, Judge Agnes Chappelle.
Stay right here. Before the Honorable speaks, any other commissioners have anything you'd like to say to her?
All we want to say, Judge, is congratulations. It's now time to devote your life to your family, your community, and your church. You've given us everything that we've asked for and more. And God bless you, and we appreciate you for your commitment over these years and the ethical way that you have approached the judgeship and the integrity that you've given our court system. God bless you and thank you.
Anyone else?
I can remember you back in municipal court. I remember from the city. I remember working on your campaign. You have just been a person that I think should be just really within the high schools. You need to talk more to the younger people, really. You are a perfect example of a judge in the way you carry yourself in the court and out of the court. And that's what a lot of people don't see. I see you in the community. I see how you carry yourself in the community. And you're not in your robe. You don't have your robe on, but you still carry yourself like a judge. And I appreciate that. And the decisions that you have made over in municipal court was outstanding with the domestic violence program. That's really what started the whole thing when you was over there. You started that whole program, and it actually changed a lot of women's lives. So I thank you for that. And I just want you to make sure you enjoy your retirement.
Anyone else?
Congratulations. I'm gonna miss hearing your name being called out at any one of those chamber luncheons as being recognized for being there. But you obviously, what Commissioner has read off, you have an impressive history and an impressive legacy that you've left behind. So congratulations. I hope you enjoy the retirement. But I'm going to agree with what Commissioner said. The kids need you. Don't go away. Please help engage with the kids, because we need them. We need them to aspire to what you've done.
Oh, well, thank you very much. First, I want to thank Commissioner Scales, Commissioner Knight, and for all of you agreeing that you would resolve today and give me some accolades, and I do appreciate that. I do want to thank, though, I want to take this time, I don't know how far this will go, but I want to take the time to thank the citizens of Jefferson County for allowing me to serve as their circuit court judge in the Domestic Relations Division. And I will take your advice, Commissioner Stevens. I do plan to spend more time with my family. I have 2 granddaughters who I haven't gotten to nurture like I did all my other grandchildren, Tori and Kai. And I plan to spend a lot more time with them. And of course, I will spend time with my church. And Commissioner Tyson, I will continue to work in the community. Thank you very much.
So before she leaves, if you don't mind, Mr. President and Pro Tem, if we could have her to come up top
Sure.
and take a photo with all of us. I will say this in closing. As a city judge, we had the opportunity to appoint Madam Chappelle. After today, we're going to be calling her Madam. And she okay. Well, Madam Judge. She just told you she's retiring now, so hint to the wise is sufficient. But I will say, have never turned down common people. Never have. Anytime that I called her, the first thing I would say is, well, Judge, you know how I am about these folks, so help me out. And she always has. Let me say this, that I said at her retirement event. When your name is scraped off the door, and that goes for all of us that are elected, the one thing that we have to understand is that what she's deciding to do is allowing herself to blossom in the place that when your name is scraped off the door, your family is all you have. So I am very, very much aware, and she's a constituent in District 1. You're right. Go and enjoy your life. We're under a microscope all the time. And you do the best that you can do, but you're not Jesus and you're not God. And because of that, when you recognize that certain things have gotten away from you, only God can redeem time. But what you have to do is to redeem the time based upon the decisions that you make. So that's an honorable decision for you to keep on watering the seeds that God allowed you to be able to plant. So without further ado, Helen, if you can help us, Judge, you and your family, if you could go around this way, we're going to take a photo together. We appreciate you just that much. Okay. And we want them to go with you. Okay. Yes, ma'am. You're welcome. Thank you.
And don't be fooled by that sweet face. She didn't play.
Come on, Judge.
All right, fellas, you're in charge. Where you want?
Matter of fact, Judge, just for picture purposes, I think this would be very good.
You never use that.
I never used mine either. Never had to. How about you?
Everybody here?
I felt like it at times.
Come on, Joe, you're telling off on your age. Take me a while to get here. You got it? Come on. Okay. Come on, no.
All right, Commissioner Knight, over to, oh, no, there you go. Perfect.
Take two of these. Keep your eyes open. One more. Got it.
Hold on, let's get the resolution. You got it, Greg? What's the resolution? You got it? Oh, okay, good. He got it.
Yeah.
Well, job done. All right.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Joe.
Congratulations.
Darren.
Thank you, sir.
I still call you.
We have one more presentation this morning, and of course the CBS family is here. We are so excited about this young lady's work in Jefferson County, and this is Miss Sherry Jackson. Many of you all know that she is on WIAT, CBS 42. I hope it's still WIAT. It is. And so the commission today is honoring her 25 years on air. Anybody that knows about media knows you don't stay 25 years on any one station. So I'm going to read the resolution and then we'll begin. Many daughters have done virtuously, but you excel them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord shall be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands and let her own works praise her in the gates. And that is Proverbs 31:29 through 31. And I want you to make sure you go back and look at that because that is the epitome of you. Whereas the Jefferson County Commission pauses in its deliberation to honor the legacy and public service of legendary news journalist Sherry Jackson upon 25 exceptional years in the broadcasting industry in Jefferson County, Alabama. And whereas Sherry Jackson is an Emmy award-winning news anchor, she is also the PM managing editor and member of CBS's 42, Your Voice, Your Station investigative team, rendering breaking and exclusive news weeknights at 4, 5, 6, and 10 in Birmingham, Alabama. And whereas Sherry Jackson is a native of St. Louis, Missouri, and a graduate of Morehead, I wanted to say, when I looked at it, I was like, Morehead, okay, Morehead State University in Morehead, Kentucky. And whereas Sherry Jackson is a trusted journalist with an outstanding reporting record regarding people, places, and environments in Central Alabama. Jackson's motto is, we are all connected. And whereas Sherry Jackson's critically acclaimed documentary, Deadly Deception, which premiered on CBS 42, served as a major factor in the Environmental Protection Agency's declaration of North Birmingham, located in Jefferson County's Commission District 1, as a Superfund site by federal standards. Moreover, Ms. Jackson's award-winning documentary, Hope and Honor, spotlighting Birmingham's collaborative efforts to erect a proper memorial in tribute to the 1963 victims of the historic 16th Street Baptist Church bombing, and she received notable reviews. And whereas Sherry Jackson was the only local news anchor to cover the official Congressional Gold Medal Posthumous Award ceremony in honor of Adam E. Collins, Cynthia Morris Wesley, Carol Robertson, and Denise McNair in Washington, D.C. And whereas her professional acumen is comprehensive in scope, including feature stories on health and families, such as the local war on breast cancer, spotlighting local research at UAB's O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center, and her Emmy Award-winning podcast, Dangerous Connections, focusing on digital device protection for children against predators and bullying. Whereas Sherry Jackson has received innumerable journalism awards, including the Best News Anchor, declared by several times by the Alabama Broadcasters Association. In 2019, she was chosen to participate in the inaugural Top Women in Alabama Media class. In 2022, she was reinstalled to the Radio, Television, Digital News Association Board of Directors of Region 9, which includes or encompasses Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Arkansas. Whereas Sherry Jackson currently serves as the Foundry Ministries Board of Directors, past board service to Children's Aid Society, Child Care Resources. I'm saying it, but I'm trying. That's me moving too fast. UAB Comprehensive Cancer Center and American Red Cross Blood Services of Alabama. She is a proud member of the National Association of Black Journalists, Radio, Television, Digital News Association, and Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. Hint to all the deltas at the county. And whereas it is with great respect, admiration, and honor that Commissioner LaShonda Scales and the entire Jefferson County Commission formally salute Sherry Jackson on her notable contributions to the citizens of Jefferson County. Your journalistic integrity has made monumental advances in our great county. We know you will continue to be a pillar of brilliance as you continue your stellar and distinguished career. And now, therefore, upon the recommendation of Commissioner LaShonda Scales, be it resolved by the Jefferson County Commission of the State of Alabama that a copy of this resolution be presented to Sherry Jackson in honor of her 25 years of journalistic distinction to the citizens of Jefferson County. And, of course, it's been signed by everyone. And for time's sake, if everyone, all commissioners, if you would stand in honor of what we have presented her with this morning. And Ms. Jackson, you can take the podium.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I won't belabor everything. I know you guys got big business to get to. I'm so honored that you would do this, and it's humbling to accept. I believe that when a person is able to find their purpose, their place, and their people, they should bloom where they are planted. I came here 25 years ago and started on this day at that time, and I am so blessed to know that I have found my people, my place, and my purpose. That's right. Thank you. Thank you all.
Any commissioner that have anything you'd like to say to Ms. Jackson before we let her go?
Sherry, congratulations. We've grown up together, haven't we? But congratulations.
Thank you.
We do congratulate you and thank you for all you do, for all you've done, and your accomplishments are many. And just be very careful. Do not let Miss Gale scrape your name also.
Whatever. Anyone else?
I think it's fantastic that, and the recognition is due. The very purposeful when you guys were doing during the World Games and you were having the on-site at the World Games. I got a chance to come down and be interviewed by you on live. And I got there a little bit too early, obnoxiously early, I would say. You were just as genuine a person as you are talking one-on-one behind the scenes as you are on the camera. You are the same person. So your character is obviously very, very solid and sound. So well deserved.
Congratulations.
So the reason why I asked you all to stand because her work took her to Washington, D.C., and I happened to be there when she was there for the ceremony for the 4 little girls. I'm going to hang tight a little bit to this resolution because I saw one name that was taken off. The reason why, Commissioner, that meant a lot to me about the 16th Street, I've kept it very quiet for a purpose because I don't think that you try to benefit from others' deaths. But my mother's sister is the sister of Cynthia Wesley. And so I had in there Cynthia Morris Wesley, and I noticed it got deleted, so I'm going to put it back because Morris is actually her last name. And being that the former county commissioner, which was Chris McNair, it was a big to-do for Congress to acknowledge what happened with these girls. And lastly, I will say I thank you all for the appointment concerning EPA, because that's why I made sure that that part was in there as well. The people of North Birmingham have had to endure a lot, but it was because of her investigative work that allowed the federal government to see by way of video the lives that have been impacted adversely due to the environmental issues that we had. So I wanted to make sure that you all knew those facts. And if you don't mind, if you'll stand right there, Ms. Jackson, she's going to hold up a resolution and we'll stand behind her. Is that okay, Commissioner?
Sure.
Okay, very good. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Come on, husband. Where's Helen? Oh.
That looks great. I think we got it.
Thank you.
All right. Lead story for tonight. Let's go.
Let's just pray that it's not the weather.
I know.
Right, pray that it's not the weather.
Thank
Bubble is
you.
up.
Thank you, Mr. and Ms. Jackson. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
I
Mr.
have
President.
one more that we need to work with. Yeah. A proclamation by the Jefferson County Commission. It's with great pride that we bring forth this proclamation. Senior Security Officers Suzette Whiting demonstrated bravery and heroism as she took action with a life-threatening situation. While in uniform, eating at a local restaurant, i.e. the Bright Star, during her lunch break, which is right around the corner from her station, she was approached by a fellow restaurateur that appeared to be choking. Senior Security Officer Whiting selfishly and without hesitation quickly began to perform the life-saving Heimlich maneuver, causing the food that was lodged in the patient's throat to be cleared, thereby saving the life. Senior Security Officer was a shining example of how we all should respond with each other when called upon in life-threatening situations. Senior Security Officer White represented Jefferson County with dignity and showed the true measure of her love for her fellow man. Be it proclaimed that the commissioners of Jefferson County, Alabama, recognize and respect with gratitude the heroic actions and selfish courage of Senior Officer Suzette Whiting in saving the life of a fellow human being. Although many people are trained in CPR, some become hesitant to respond in a real emergency. our senior security officer, and I call her our because she is ours,
She is.
proudly so, was a hero on December the 22nd as she responded without hesitation and utilized her training to save a life. You are a hero to us every day. You just had a chance to show it to others on December the 22nd. We as a commission applaud you. We appreciate you. And we want to give you this proclamation on behalf of the entire Jefferson County Commission.
Jimmy, can we say something to her?
Yeah, please.
I'll wait until she takes a picture.
All right.
I'm just as tall as you this morning. I still can't. Maybe. Smile, man, and get closer.
Come closer.
Get closer.
Get a little closer now.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to take two. One more. Got it.
Suzanne, if you'd like to say something, you sure will.
Yeah, I want you to come to the podium too.
First of all, I would just like to thank God because He is who we all give praises to. And with an event like that, you know, of course, it was all God. To the commissioners, to Jefferson County Security, I mean, I'm just honored. We as officers, we save people's lives on a daily. And, you know, I think that it needs to be put out that of the hard work that we do on an everyday basis, whether big or small. We're here to save lives in most way, I mean, in our best way that we know how. And I was told that the uniform of Jefferson County took the attention of the young man who was choking. And, of course, he wanted me to assist him, so I did. And so I'm just honored. I do want to give kudos, even though I know I'm here today as represented as far as saving a life. Again, I would like to give kudos to the Jefferson County Security Department because I have worked with each and every one of the employees as being a senior officer, and I see how they work diligently every day for the county. We have had some up and downs, but we have conquered it all. No fatalities. And I just want to say thank you all for this opportunity. It is a grand one, I tell you. Wasn't expecting all of this, but God is good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I wanted you to come up to that podium. Yes, ma'am. And for all the security officers that are present today, Ms. Kinnemer, do you mind joining her? All right, but for all the officers that are here this morning, you can stand. The reason why I'm asking them to stand, I want to thank our county manager because he and I had a long discussion, several discussions, long discussion, and then to our deputy county manager. This department, that particular department, has undergone a lot. But I want to say to you publicly, not just what I say to you privately, when our lives are in your hands because of the society that we have, I cannot help but to publicly tell you thank you. But the best thank you that we as commissioners can have is to, or give you, is to get with the county manager to facilitate the needs of that department. I'm understanding that there's some great things that's coming forward in short order. And I'm just telling you that anytime we come through that door downstairs or whether we go through the gate, I've never met a rude security officer, whether here or at Bessemer. I've never met anyone that was rude and they didn't understand who they were serving at the time. And I also want to say this to you, young lady. I didn't really get that it was someone associated with the county because I'm reading it on Facebook. But that is a testament to the type of training that you received that makes you well-rounded. What if that had been one of us as commissioners instead of that civilian? And we have to take comfort in knowing that we have some very talented people who actually work for us. So I wanted to tell you from the bottom of my heart, because I had a choking incident that happened myself a couple of months ago. And, when you're in distress like that, it is so valuable to have someone that's in that room, in that space at that time, who can actually help you, because that's a matter of life and death. But I did, Mr. Kinnaman, wanted to take this as an opportunity and for this commission to recognize the work that you all do every day. They just happen to capture a moment. We happen to capture what you do daily. And so I wanted to make sure that everybody in this room, a hint to the wise, is sufficient. That I believe that great things should be happening in that department. That's the only way you're going to keep great people. You recognize them and you pay them accordingly. And you respect what they do. Okay? So I just want you to know this morning, I respect what each of you all do to keep us safe. I respect that. And I wanted to make sure that you knew that. Because I know how politics is. We say anything when we're going through the doors and, oh, hey, and all of that, Okay, but to say it in public where it matters, this is where it matters. So that's supervisor or boss number one, and that's the main one. So I'm looking to him to help him to get that department where it needs to be. All right? Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Now, I understand you did a Heimlich maneuver on this gentleman.
Yes, sir.
Darren, would you stand up and let her show us?
It's a set. That's a setup.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
All right, as we move on, we have public hearings. We have zoning cases we need to see now. Let's begin with Z220049, Joan and Robert Moore, Revocable Trust. Michael?
Yes, sir. Good morning. This first case is a property that's at 2809 and 2815 Green Valley Road. The request here is to modify or for rezoning to RG to allow for 4 residential lots. In this area, as you'll see, most of it is dominated by Mountain Brook zoning. And the Mountain Brook zoning that is surrounding the area calls for 30,000 square foot lots. And of course, these are much smaller. As well as there is some county-developed subdivisions as well, and those lots also are not as small as what's being requested. The property has been approved for rezoning to R2 to allow for 3 lots. That was done in 2015. In 2010, they had requested 4 lots originally, and that case was denied. Because it does not comply with the area development and does not comply with the policies regarding honoring municipal zoning, municipal plans, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended denial.
Like to open a public hearing on Z220049. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this particular issue? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Frank Galloway III. My address is 2200 Woodcrest Place, Suite 310, 35209. I'm an attorney, and I represent Bob Barrett and Jim Willingham, who live next to the property on the east side. And I seek to present their opposition very briefly to this proposed rezoning. I think, if I may from the outset set forth that from a procedural standpoint, I think there is a fatal problem in the applicant's submission in that the applicant is not seeking a rezoning from the current status that it has, which is this pseudo-contingent R2 zoning. The application is from R1 to RG. In fact, as Michael set forth, it has approval for an R2 zoning that it has not pursued, but it is still on the table and it is there if it comes in to present a conforming plan that the county signs off on. So, and that is a 3-lot, I believe, plan. And that is, so they have that, but that is not presented as part of the rezoning. So I think it is inaccurate to say that the application seeks to go from 2 to 4. It actually started 2 to 5, but in the process it retreated to 4. So I think there is a very problematic procedural issue, which is not derivative of the county or the administration or the staff, that is self-made by the applicant. The second is just substantively, it just is not a situation that promotes the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the citizenry. The surrounding zonings call for a much greater lot size. Mountain Brook is 30,000 square feet, and these are less than 10,000 square feet each. Also, in one of the components of the negative recommendation by the staff is that there are too many variances that would have to be required. The fact that there are many variances that would have to be required should reflect that it's an inappropriate plan. One thing that I think is of note, too, is that because the property borders a very significant water line on the south, on the rear, one can see the diagonal line running right behind it. It is my understanding from staff that there is a 35-foot setback as if that were a road, and the depiction of the scheme for the subdivision only shows at about an 11.5-foot setback. So what is being shown is more than 24 feet off from what could actually go there, and so that the scheme that is presented is not reflective of what could happen. I also think that it is the scheme that is shown is strained because a significant portion of these lots to get to the high 4 figures in lot size is really devoted to street and driveway and turnaround. So it's not even, it's common area so a fire truck can come in and people can park. It's not what one traditionally thinks of should be part of a single-family residential lot. So for all these reasons, we would ask that this commission deny it. It was unanimously denied at the Planning Commission, and I think that would be an appropriate step for this commission to take. Thank you.
Anyone else?
What would change from the 4 to the 3? Wouldn't you still have the same issues?
Well, three is there. I would like 3 not to be there, but it's there, and I think it's reflective that it's very challenging, and that's in R2 zoning. RG is more friendly to allow greater flexibility, but it still doesn't fit. And so if I was at the helm on the developer side, I'd come back for for RG to try to do 3 so I can make 3 work better. That 35-foot setback on the rear, this is pretty shallow piece of property, is going to be really, really challenging to get a third lot along the back. The concept is left, right, back. And they want to go left, right, back, right. And it just doesn't fit. And so if 3 worked, I submit that 3 would have been done over the last 8 years. It hadn't been done. So it is most likely a property where the highest and best use is 2 nice single-family homes or 1 very, very nice single-family home. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Let me ask this question. Is a part of the problem also, since is saying about those the variances that would be required really doesn't fit with the land use plan? It seems like that's what I'm reading. Is the issue because they're garden homes versus the existing properties that are there?
No, ma'am. I think it's really more geometry, dimensions. The site is just not big enough.
Okay.
To accommodate the density that is sought.
Okay.
And if pressed, I would say that the developers taking a shot, and if they can get 4, they'll get 4. But if they don't, then they'll come back and figure out what to do with 3 or maybe 2 or 1. But you're not going to get if you don't ask. Is my assessment. That I haven't talked to the developer about that, but I think the geometry just doesn't work. And the waterworks, if something was to be proposed that asked for variances to allow structures to be closer to that waterworks pipeline, that is a significant line there. I think we would find that there would be great pushback from the Waterworks Board.
One quick question for Mr. Morrison.
Yes, ma'am.
How long would it be if we were to vote denial today that the prospective developer would be permitted to come before this body again?
If it's for the same request, it would be 1 year. It's
Okay.
1 year length.
Okay, but I'm saying if it's a different request, just as he mentioned about 3 instead of 4, you know, whatever else, I mean.
Right. Again, technically, the property, although now it's 2 parcels, technically they have approval to do 3. That approval that was given to them back in 2015 had a contingency on it that they submit site plans. They never submitted site plans, so that zoning never changed to R2.
Oh, okay.
So, but again, if they were to just come in with a plan for the 3 lots, submit the site plans, back in 2015, they obtained variances to make that plan at that time work that was still run with the land. So they could do the 3 lots tomorrow without any public hearing, anything else, because that zoning is still, it's dangling out there.
Oh,
Again, I
okay.
would just like to also note that this is part of the reason why we've changed our processes around, just so we don't have these murky sort of things going on. But technically, the zoning is still R1 because it has not changed to R2 because they haven't satisfied that contingency from 2015.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? Public hearing is now closed.
I make a motion to approve, to deny.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hearing is now developed. Number Z220051, SMA Trill Estate owner. Jessica Marnes, agents, request change zone from C1 to R2.
Yes, sir. This is located out on Pratt Highway in the Forestdale area. The property consists of 2 single-family dwellings. Back in the early 1980s, they were rezoned to commercial use. And since then, the commercial use has ceased on the property, and the owner is just requesting to rezone it back to R2 so that it could be utilized for single-family residential purposes.
Like to open a public hearing for Z220051. Anyone in the audience want to address this? Seeing none, public hearing is closed.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimously approved. Next is Z220056, JMB Enterprises LLC.
Yes, sir. This is a request to go from institutional 1 to I-1 industrial for an auto repair shop or an auto repair operation. This property was rezoned for a church back sometime years ago. The church came in and has now ceased use. The applicant is proposing to adaptively reuse the church campus for the industrial purposes. The land use plan in this area calls for agricultural use. And as such, this does not comply with the policies of the land use plan. And you'll also note that there isn't any commercial zoning on Highway 75 until you get up into this corner with Old Highway 75, which that's old and established. And so with that being in mind, it does not comply with the policies of the land use plan. It's a relatively small area. There isn't any adjacent commercial zoning. The Planning Commission deemed this to be a spot zone and thus recommended denial.
Like to open a public hearing on Z220056. Anyone in the audience speak in favor of or in opposition to this? Public hearing is closed. Commissioners.
Mr. President, I understand it's a denial for policy of land use. This particular piece of property is right before you cross into Blount County. It was a church, and evidently the church has not succeeded. It's 4.5 or so acres, but most of the acreage is in a swell, and it's up on a hill. There's not residences really close by, and agricultural, I don't even think it's really suitable for agriculture because I don't think you can do anything with agriculture on that piece of property. And there's somebody wanting to put a business in. I know it's an auto body shop, but, you know, there are businesses, and for the record, on the agenda, it is asking from change from institutional
To commercial.
to commercial to C1, and now you're saying to industrial. So which is it?
It should be industrial if it's an auto body shop.
Oh, okay.
We could go back and correct that on the agenda.
But it doesn't, in fact, it doesn't say industrial, it says institutional.
Well, that's what it was.
That's what, yeah, it's
That's
going
what
from
it's the church.
institutional is a zoning classification that's primarily for churches, schools, daycares, that sort of thing.
And I don't know how long the property's been up there. It's been for sale. It's been a minute. I don't know what you're gonna do. What you're gonna do, just let the church fall in? I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna move for approval.
We have a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Ms. DiLiberto, call the roll.
Commissioner Ammons?
Yes.
Commissioner Knight?
Aye.
Commissioner Scales?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson? Commissioner Stevens?
Yes. Item was approved. Thank you very much. Next is Z220062, the heirs of Lucille Parsons.
Yes, this is a request. It's also in conjunction with a subdivision request. There's a small piece of property that was zoned to light industrial back in the early 1990s, and the applicants are requesting to rezone it back to agricultural so that they can, again, develop it residentially. I don't believe that there was ever a industrial use established on this property.
All right. At this time, like to open a hearing on Z220062. Is anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this particular item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed.
Now this is going from institutional to agricultural.
Industrial to agricultural, yes, sir.
Okay, so that's another pen and ink.
We'll get that.
And I do want to make sure that on item 3, it gets changed in the record to industrial.
Yes, sir.
We'll modify that.
Sir?
We'll get that modified.
Okay, thank you.
Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll move the item.
Items been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Z220063, Patricia Washington, owner. Request to change in zoning from C1 to R2.
Yes, sir. This is a request. This property has split zoning, and this is just simply a request to consolidate the zoning on the property so that it could be developed with a daycare center. The property itself is rather shallow and narrow, but we think we've come up with some design scenarios that it would be allowed to fit. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval. Staff is recommending approval with a condition for directional lighting at the site, just simply because there are some residential properties nearby.
I'd like to open a public hearing on Z220063. Anyone in the audience would like to address this particular issue? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Chair, will any commissioner,
Mr.
anyone want to say?
President?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you all not for this particular item? Weren't you here for that item? Okay, he's asking, do you want to speak to
Are
it?
you for it?
Those are the applicants.
Oh,
They're
those
the
are
applicant. They're good.
You for it? You're ahead.
well, they got to be for it. It's their
I vote
business.
aye.
Item-
Second.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Well, sometimes it's best if you win and just stay where you are.
Yeah, I second.
All right, we
We'll
have
get
a
carried.
motion and a second to approve your
Yep.
item. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
How about that?
You in
Is that-
Forestdale, I got my eye on.
There you go. Z220064.
Yes, sir. Good morning. This is a request for an expansion of an existing industrial use. They're requesting to go from A1 to I1. This is out on Dublin Lane off of Morgan Road in the Bessemer area. The Milo's Tea distribution center is located on the adjacent property, and they want to purchase a portion of this property in order to expand some parking and storage area. Again, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval, and with the condition that they have directional lighting in the parking areas as well, just because they do abut a residential neighborhood to the north and to the east.
Like to open a public hearing on Z220064. Anyone in the audience speaking on this? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. This is in my district, and I'm very familiar with this, and it's congruent to everything that surrounds it, and
I'll move the
probably a good idea. The item's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? It's been passed. Thank you very much. We have one more item that did not make the agenda. It's a carryover that I thought was going to be for vote only, but our staff has noticed another public hearing for today, so it's Z220061 to JCEIDA. It's Jerome and Cindy Cowley property, Norfolk Southern Railway, and Gulf Alabama Properties. They want to modify or remove existing covenants in these particular items. It's highlighted on your screen there. Mr. Morrison.
61.
61, yeah. You won't see it. It was our item 65 on our agenda.
That's correct.
Yeah, it was our item 65, which was a carryover from last meeting for a vote. Okay. And they issued another public hearing. We have people that would like to speak to it, so it's only appropriate to look.
Yes, sir. Again, this is a request to modify some covenants associated with the industrial park down in McCalla. The Planning and Zoning Commission did not make a recommendation on this particular request. Staff has recommended to modify those covenants instead of just removing them, to require a 50-foot buffer along the portions of the development that are adjacent to or across the roadway from residential properties, and buffers incorporate mitigating measures to alleviate impacts of the development according to accepted engineering practices, and then that access to the property shall be limited and subject to the approval of the Department of Roads and Transportation.
Well, they inadvertently advertised it again. All right. At this time, I'd like to open a public hearing Z220061. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of or in opposition to this item? Mayor Dudley? Good morning.
Adrian Dudley, 7951 Gristmill Drive, Lakeview, Alabama. And I appreciate the county indulging us on this. Part of my issue still goes back to parts of the discussion that we had in relationship to completely removing the covenants and just going to the 50-foot buffer. As I mentioned numerous times, the covenants, covenant number 3, covenant number 5, also include and incorporate Kimbrell Cutoff Road. And although I've had some back and forth with some members of the county staff that tell me that what we're talking about doesn't, but as I read, and words have meaning, I'm looking at it here and it identifies Kimbrell Cutoff Road. And I'm also told by law that residents that were within 550 feet of whatever is being identified have to be notified. And I have identified to the county staff that residents in my city are less than 100 feet from Kimbrell Cutoff Road and were not notified. And I truly believe that even though we're talking about, I understand that there is development that is happening and development needs to happen for industrial development for the county. But I also have to go back and still ask the same question at what cost to the residents. Because what we're not doing is notifying all the people that are there that there are things going on that they may want to address. And we're talking about taking away covenants that I'm told that nothing that's going to happen is going to affect this area. But we still want to take away the covenant that protects the people that live in that area from having industry right at their back door. And I do understand, I do know that there's been an attempt to acquire the property on Kimbrell Cutoff, which is right across the street from the edge of my city, which again, from that road, the closest property lines are less than 100 feet. But there's been no discussion with them in relationship to this. Now, again, when we talk about the things happening down at Lowtown Road, understand that, and I have no issue with that. Understand that has to happen. But then as you move further up and down Old Tuscaloosa Highway, there are other residents that have other issues in that area as well. It's not in my city, but it's still in my area. Okay, I don't just care about people in my city, but I care about people, all the people in that area that are surrounding us. And I think that we are not doing justice to the people that are there by taking away all the covenants that protect them from having industrial egress and ingress onto a 2-lane road in Kimball Cutoff, which is right across from less than 100 feet from my residence. Now, again, people like to go back and talk about, we had a meeting on Monday, and I'm not going to get into my proclivities about that and how that happened, but a lot of talk about berms. I really don't care about berms. There's not been a question about berms, and we talked to the county manager. I appreciate him meeting with us in December, but we don't really care about berms. I understand that there should be, more natural vegetation that buffers the development and things like that from homes and other things. I understand that. But what I care about is what we're doing that is going to directly affect residents that live in the area, in my city, and in the surrounding communities. And I don't think that we've done the right thing by going back and completely doing away with 2 through 6. And I continually told that, well, covenants don't matter. Well, attorneys came up with them, so obviously they matter. And we're talking about doing away with 2 through 6, not all of them. So why not just alter the ones that would also affect other areas and instead of completely taking them away, where it can still work for the development the county wants to do and also still offer protection for those residents in the area. That's all I ask. Again.
Anyone else would like to address it?
What is it that we're being asked to do, Mayor?
That I'm asking?
Yeah.
All I'm asking is that covenants, that we don't completely change the covenants. What we're looking at is, I understand there's some areas that where there needs to be more development, and we need to take out the part about the berms. I understand that, but what I'm asking is when we talk about like number 5, it says vehicle ingress, egress to industrial parks, expand a park expansion located in the area is limited. I think that should be limited in specific areas. I think it should be more specific to the areas where there are residents, because we're talking about off Kimball Cutoff Road, and there's nothing that's going to be coming down to that. And then there's a resident that he doesn't live on the corner of Kimball Cutoff in Old Tuscaloosa. He's the first home on Kimball Cutoff when you go down Kimball Cutoff. There is an area there, and basically he and I are the same mind. He was at the meeting on Monday, and he asked that we try to do something, not put industry all the way down, not allow industry to come all the way down to the area, but try to keep the major traffic from going up and down there, because he has horses, he has a home there, and other residents. And again, when we talk about the development going down those other areas, I think that there should be a larger buffer between those houses, because there's houses that are not in my city on the other side of Kimball Cutoff. The development, industrial development, will come up close to the back of those houses. And I think there should be some additional attention paid to how there's going to be some buffering between there with natural vegetation, as well as something that addresses the lighting in the area. Whereas we just talked about directional lighting someplace else. Well, that should be a part of this as well. I think there should be more attention paid to developing covenants that will assist the people that live in the area, so they don't feel like their property value is being devalued, their property is being devalued, or they're being devalued. And then you also have people who live in the area that are not being notified of things happening. A big part of my problem is communication. Is we are not effectively communicating with people, and when I ask those questions of some staff members, I'm being given responses that are not very good responses. I'm going to be nice and say not very good responses, especially when there's a lady sitting here today whose house sits on Old Tuscaloosa Highway, and the house is maybe 50 feet from the road, and they weren't notified about the meeting on Monday. Okay. And they should have been notified. And they were here in December, and actually spoke to people here in December as well. So I think that we need to do a better job at communicating to people. I understand that development is going to happen, but I think we need to incorporate the people that live there in the development, not just talking to the businesses and things like that. And I understand engineers are trying to do the right thing as far as engineering goes for the land, for making sure we have water that comes out of the area the right way. We got wastewater going the right way.
Now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Question.
You want to say anything?
So I think that there may be a bit of a fundamental misunderstanding about Kimbrell Cutoff is a public road. It is currently not restricted to trucks. When we do noticing for development, it is in the context of the footprint of the parcel. The notifications were made in the context of the footprint of the parcel, which is consistent with regulations. We don't ever notify if there is a contemplated covenant for a public road, because that's not what the covenant applies to. Covenants don't apply to the roads. So I think there's a misunderstanding about what the discussion point is. One of the concerns with prescriptively restricting development on Kimbrell Cutoff as it relates to development in the park, we don't know exactly what the development in the park is. Ultimately, it is the requirement of our development regulations to ensure that traffic operates appropriately. So it is always our desire to make sure that we have the ability to make sure that roads are upgraded so that when you have trucks and cars that are operating together, that they do so in a safe manner. If we restrict without understanding what that operation looks like, we could seriously negatively impact the way that Kimbrell Cutoff operates. Obviously, we're very sensitive to the impact that has with those facilities. The commission has invested a tremendous amount of money in that whole corridor to upgrade a lot of those facilities to make sure that happens. We have a lot of things that are happening all together. So we have two large road projects that are coming at the same time that this other thing is coming, and I think that there tends to be confusion about what is related to what. We do have another public involvement meeting that will be coming up on the Old Tuscaloosa project, which actually deals with intersection improvements between Old Tuscaloosa and Kimbrell Cutoff. It is admittedly kind of a challenging intersection because of the existing traffic volumes and the road geometry and everything else that we're trying to take care of out there. But that's not specifically related to this covenant. This covenant applies to this piece of property, and it places restrictions that could potentially, based on the type of development that comes, really adversely affect the population out there. And what we're asking for is just the ability to apply best engineering practice at the time that occurs so that we can require whatever sort of improvement needs to occur to those facilities to make it work and make it work best for the citizens.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President.
Wait just a second. Mr. Dockery, did you want to address this? You signed the list. Is Jack Dockery in here? So he's not here. So there's no one else that has signed the list. Is there anyone else that'd like to address this? And come on up, Jim. State your name and address.
Yes, sir. Jim Griffith, 7065 Lakeside Farm Circle, McCall, Alabama. I'm the president of the HOA at Lakeside Farms. And just to echo the mayor, just more knowledge of meetings that we can hear and we don't have conflicts like we're having with this one. There was a meeting Monday afternoon. Nobody in Lakeside Farms that were here and signed didn't get any notice of that meeting. And just the fact that we're doing away with something that was under the disguise, and y'all have heard this over, and I don't want to waste your time with it, but the fact that we're doing away with something that under the fact that this was declared an industrial and we're going to have these covenants for this is just scary in the fact. But I think one thing you can do is start or have more meetings with people. I know it takes time, and I know it's hard to do and getting the notice out, but at least you won't have this with a lot of people upset, and there are a lot of people upset with this, bottom line. The other thing I've got the question of, we're doing away with berms, okay? You've got better engineering practices that you say, are the existing berms that are in place across from Lakeside Farms that were put in place a couple of years ago, are those berms still going to stay, or are they going to be removed?
So what is existing that is not within the footprint of the road widening we wouldn't have a reason to alter it if it's not conflicting with the new construction?
Okay, and it isn't. It's further back than that. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jim. And I'll echo what you said. I wasn't aware of the meeting Monday either, and I voiced my displeasure at the committee meeting that everyone did. Anyone else? Are you, Ms. Watson?
My name is Erica Watson, and I'm talking on behalf of Isabel Aguilar. They're the owners of the house. And they took a picture of the house, and they measure pretty much if they do what they say that they're going to do at Otis-Colusa Highway, half of the house is going to be gone. So I don't know if you want to see this picture, and they were not notified of the meeting on Monday, and I have sent multiple emails to see they're willing to sell the property if the county wants to buy it. But today, we still don't know anything. So if you guys want to see the picture and...
Are we going to have to buy that house?
So right away reaching out or impacting it significantly.
Yeah, half of the house.
Yeah, that's going to be a question for another day.
Mr. President, I wanted to speak.
Yes, ma'am. We're still in a public hearing. Are you doing anyone else? Public hearing is now closed. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Actually, Mr. President of HOA, that was my question, really for yourself and the mayor. It appears as though there's some kind of communication deficit here, and that appears to be what the issue is, so that the folk in that area can be intelligently informed. I have to be honest with you, Mr. President. I typically try to stay out of people's districts because that's your district, you represent it. But I always have a choke up when I don't hear that the citizens adjacent to anything, if there's some development and they're not aware of it. It seems as though you all are definitely trying to advocate for the people that you work with and work for. I just don't know if it means that we need additional time, Mr. President. I know we got the chairman of economic development. I don't know if you all can just weigh in on that, because I thought when we left last year, we left on the premise that there would be an intentional engagement with the citizens who would be impacted in that area. It seemed as though we still, and you all as in Mayor and Mr. President of HOA, maybe you all can help me to understand as a commissioner, did that not happen? Did it not, were there not some kind of intentionality behind trying to get you all involved?
Well, what I will tell you is that we did speak to the county manager before we left in December. He did identify to us that we were trying to have a meeting before this meeting. And so I had an expectation somebody was going to reach out and let us know that something was going on. So last morning, I sent Mr. Marker an email, and I did some work at City Hall, and I happened to be cleaning my bathroom at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and somebody came to my front door. Didn't ring the doorbell, but they hung a notice on me. And I happened to see it when I was leaving my house at 4:15, and notice at 4 o'clock for a meeting on Monday. And I didn't find, when I told him, I said, that's just the wrong way to do things. You don't tell me on a Friday afternoon after 4 p.m. that there's a meeting on Monday, because nobody most people can't prepare for that. As a matter of fact, I was told that everybody who signed in would have been given a notice. My next door neighbor signed in, they didn't get a notice. My neighbor across the street signed in, and she didn't get a notice. And Mr. Griffin did not get a notice. He signed in, and he didn't get one either. So I think there was not very good communication. I tried to get the word out as best I could to people to let them know about it, but the communication was lacking.
Again, this was something, this public hearing was one that this is our second public hearing on this particular issue. I think it's been properly vetted. I apologize for the meeting on Monday, but I wasn't there either and didn't have any input. The public hearing is closed. The chair will entertain a motion.
Look, the request we have is to modify or remove existing restrictive covenants 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I move that. Is to modify or remove. So I think modification can be had without some of the issues that I've heard. So I move it.
Second.
All right, we have
And are we moving it with the amendment that you just proposed?
What amendment?
Yeah, because you're saying that, I'm speaking to the motion, Mr. President.
Yeah.
What you're saying is that instead of using the term, well, that's what it says.
That's exactly what it says.
To remove existing restrictive
Yeah, there's no.
So
what were you adding? You're not adding anything.
I would just read what it said.
Because
I was kind of getting the impression that we were removing the covenant, but this is to modify or remove, because this all goes back to the berm question, and that's what I thought we were removing, so that we don't have to do berms, because it won't fit that, the widening of the. My motion's my motion.
Okay, and you got a second.
Which is right.
We have a motion on the floor and a second.
Right. So, Mr. President, before you carry the vote, though, is there any way possible that when we speak of modification or to remove, is there any level, Mr. County Attorney, that either allow for this to be with some kind of notification to the residents impacted, or?
Commissioner, we've already had a public hearing on this.
This particular issue has been more than notified to areas concerned. As a matter of fact, out of an abundance of caution, you've actually proceeded with a second opportunity to be heard. There was an error, and we were discussing that. Your public hearing was actually closed at your last meeting, where you had several individuals that came for that. And because there was a notification as such, you were supposed to continue, but the notification of the hearing has been given on a couple of occasions. So those affected have absolutely had the opportunity to participate.
Mr. President, I call for the vote.
So
We have a motion and a second, and we'll call the question. Ms. DiLiberto, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Anderson? Yes. Commissioner Knight?
Aye.
Commissioner Gale?
Abstain.
Commissioner Tyson? Commissioner Stevens?
I'll have to vote for it. I have to do that not against my residents, but because I am more familiar and I have confidence in what our staff has done, and that I ask that our residents work with the staff. Sometimes they're not political in nature. They're engineers. They do what they feel is best, and everything that I've seen, it's going to benefit the residents, and it's not going to be detrimental. It's going to still be industrial that's going to come, and it's going to come whether it's noticed, whether it's done in orderly fashion or whether they just come in and do it haphazardly. This was done for the benefits of the citizens, and I hope that you have confidence that it will be, and that I will continue to pledge to work with them to make sure that you're better served. With that being said, Commissioners, we have 1 through 78 resolutions that were properly vetted in.
I'll move items 1 through 78.
With hold, that's great, but we got to remove 65 because this was 65 we just voted on. So, if you'll modify that 1 through 78 with pulling 65.
Yes.
All right, we have that motion. Second. Yes. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, those are acclaimed. County Manager, do you have anything?
No, sir.
County Attorney?
No, sir.
Commissioners?
Fixing to get a little blow coming.
Mr. President.
They're not ready yet.
Mr. President,
yes.
I think we need to make sure that everyone is aware, and Helen, if Mr. County Manager, if you can direct staff to make sure that there's a notification that is given out to residents about the various storm shelters that we have available in the event of the weather. And also, on this upcoming week, I just wanted to make sure that we knew that we're approaching the 40th anniversary of, and I hope I'm saying it correctly, but I do know this much, is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s holiday and National Day of Service. So I wanted to make sure that all are aware that, you know, any service that you can render to the community, that is the only federal holiday that has a component associated with it for service in the community. So if you all can do that, that would be great. Just wanted to make sure that everyone knows that they are invited. There's a unity breakfast that is going to be held at the Boutwell. And so anyway, just wanted to make sure that all employees, if you can find yourself doing anything in remembrance of Dr. King, would be to also honor him by the National Day of Service also. Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, thanks, Commissioner Scales, for announcing the breakfast. Also, we're having a gas giveaway on 3rd Avenue in Arkadelphia, a partnership with my district. Also, we will be having feeding the homeless at the Boutwell starting at 12:30. And we will have 16 locations where we will be doing cleanups throughout City Council District 6, 5, 7, and 8 for
Okay.
Service Day.
Thank you, everyone. Being no further business, this meeting is recessed until further notice.
Okay. No. No.